Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Town of Grand Falls-Windsor regular council meeting for Tuesday, March 31st, 2026. I'll call the meeting to order. And before we move to the adoption of the agenda, I'd like to pass on apologies from Councillor Feener, who can't be with us tonight, and I suspect is a little bit warmer than the rest of us. So have a great vacation, Sean. You certainly deserve it, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Can I have a motion for the approval of the agenda, please? Councillor Hiscock, second. Councillor James, thank you. Any discussion on the agenda? A motion by Councillor Hiscock and seconded by Councillor James. All in favour of the approval of the agenda? Aye. Any opposed? The agenda is carried. So we have 4 proclamations tonight before we get into the council business, and Deputy Mayor is going to do a couple, and I will do a couple as well. And we'll start with Multiculturalism Month. March 2026 is Multiculturalism Month, and whereas the celebrations of multiculturalism is based on a vision that Newfoundland and Labrador is a dynamic and vibrant province with welcoming communities where the cultural diversity of all its residents is valued. And whereas the Town of Grand Falls-Windsor is committed to the promotion of inclusive citizenship, welcoming communities, and cross-cultural understanding where the cultural diversity of all people is valued, supported, and enhanced to collectively build a self-reliant, prosperous community. And whereas the town of Grand Falls-Windsor has made a commitment to partner with community stakeholders through multiculturalism initiatives. And therefore be it resolved that I, Mayor Mike Brown, do hereby proclaim the month of March to be Multiculturalism Month. I encourage all residents of the community to recognize that diversity is our strength and to support community celebrations aimed at fostering respect, equality, and cross-cultural understanding. And I'll sign this for our CAO, and it will be placed downstairs with the rest of the proclamations. Here you go, sir. Deputy Mayor Bennett, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Amyloidosis Awareness Month. Whereas March is Amyloidosis Awareness Month, a month dedicated to raising awareness, funding research, and supporting those living with amyloidosis and their loved ones. And whereas amyloidosis is a group of diseases that occur when abnormal protein, known as amyloid, builds up in the tissue and organs of the body. Left untreated, the disease can result in organ failure and can be fatal. And whereas amyloidosis can mimic the signs and symptoms of more common medical conditions, and the disease can be challenging to diagnose. And whereas amyloidosis often affects people who are older or middle-aged. However, young people have been diagnosed with this disease, and whereas some of the signs and symptoms of amyloidosis can include shortness of breath, weight loss, fatigue, swelling of the ankles and legs, numbness in the hands and feet, foamy urine, carpal tunnel syndrome, bruising around the eyes, and an enlarged tongue. And whereas early diagnosis can lead to better outcomes for both patients and their families. And whereas raising awareness about all the amyloidosis diseases include hereditary and non-hereditary forms of this disease, can contribute to the building of a healthier communities across Canada. Therefore, I, Rod Bennett, the Deputy Mayor of Grand Falls-Windsor, do hereby proclaim the month of March 2026 to be Amyloidosis Awareness Month in the town of Grand Falls-Windsor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. The next proclamation is with respect to Rare Disease Day. Rare Disease Day, February 28, 2026. Whereas rare diseases collectively affect approximately 1 in 12 Canadians, about 3 million people and their families across the country. Whereas while each of these diseases may affect small numbers of people, rare diseases as a group affect an estimated 300 million people globally. And whereas many rare diseases are serious, often life-threatening and debilitating conditions that have a significant impact on the lives of patients, their families, and caregivers. And whereas while more than 880 drugs and biologics have been approved for the treatment of rare diseases according to the Food and Drug Administration, 95% of rare diseases do not have an FDA-approved treatment. And whereas individuals and families affected by rare disease often experience problems such as delays in obtaining an accurate diagnosis, difficulty finding a healthcare provider with expertise in their condition, and a lack of access to treatments and ancillary services. And whereas residents of Grand Falls-Windsor, Newfoundland and Labrador are among those affected by rare diseases, and whereas the National Organization for Rare Disorders, NORD, is organizing a nationwide observance of Rare Disease Day on February 28, 2026 as part of a global movement to raise awareness. Now, therefore, be resolved that this legislative body pause in its deliberations to recognize February 28, 2026 as Rare Disease Day in Grand Falls-Windsor. Sir. And I'll call on the Deputy Mayor to read the proclamation on Easter Seals Month, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Proclamation Easter Seals Month. Whereas more than 130,000 people of all ages in our province live with disabilities such as physical, sensory, cognitive, and other disabilities that present barriers of full participation in society. Whereas Easter Seals Newfoundland and Labrador is a charitable organization where a vision for a community where all people with disabilities live full, healthy, and active lives. And mission to engage, inspires, and maximize opportunity for people with disabilities of all ages by providing meaningful programs and services. Whereas Easter Seals Newfoundland and Labrador recreation programs help those with disabilities explore what they can do through independent camps, art and music therapy, and adaptive sports, promoting full, active, and healthy social engaging lifestyles. Whereas Easter Seals Newfoundland and Labrador offers employment and educational services to assist those with barriers to employment in successfully transitioning from home to school into adulthood and independence with a focus on preparing for, obtaining, and maintaining gainful employment. Whereas Easter Seals Newfoundland and Labrador, I Can Too Disability Awareness Program actively fosters disability awareness and sensitivity to provide tools for accessibility and inclusion. Therefore, with the support of Council of Grand Falls-Windsor, I signed this proclamation to declare that the month of March in 2026 to be observed throughout the town as Easter Seals Month. I call upon all citizens of this community to support this worthy charitable organization and the people of all ages and all disabilities it serves. Rod Bennett, Deputy Mayor, Grand Falls-Windsor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Okay, we'll move on to the adoption of the minutes from the meeting of February 17th, 2026. Can I have a motion to adopt, please? Councillor Hollett, second. Councillor Hiscock, any errors or omissions? Okay, there being none, we're going to move her in a seconder for the adoption of the minutes for February 17th. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion is carried. Any discussion with respect to the minutes of February 17th? Okay, there being none, we'll move on, and I'll look for a resolution for the minutes, for the adoption of the minutes of March 11th, 2026. Can I have a motion, please? Deputy Mayor Bennett, thank you. Seconder? Councillor James, thank you. Any errors or omissions? Okay, there being none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The adoption of the minutes from March 11th are carried. Any discussion with respect to the minutes from March 11th? Okay, there being none, we'll move into our regular business, and the first item on the agenda is item 9.1, and I'll ask Councillor Hiscock, please, to read the decision note.
Thank you, Mayor. Council approval is required to amend the building permit requirements to include mandatory certification by a licensed Newfoundland and Labrador land surveyor confirming building location and elevation compliance with approved plans and design grades. And I propose that Council approve the implementation of a requirement as part of the building permit process for certification of a licensed Newfoundland and Labrador land surveyor confirming that all buildings are constructed in accordance with the approved plot plan, location, and a design grade established by the developer, and further that the town arrange for the provision of these services with all associated costs to be charged to the property owner or the applicant of the building permit.
Thank you, Councillor Hiscock. Can I get a seconder for Councillor Hiscock's resolution? Deputy Mayor Bennett, thank you. Any discussion with respect to the resolution? Councillor Hiscock, please.
Thank you, Mayor. As development activity continues to increase, particularly within new subdivisions associated with the Housing Accelerator Fund and other growth incentives, ensuring compliance with approved lot grades and building placement is critical. Introducing a mandatory survey certification will ensure that the buildings are constructed in the correct horizontal location as per the approved plot plan, finished floor elevations align with the design grades and established by the developer, lot grading functions as intended within the subdivision design, and future drainage infrastructure performance and adjacent property impacts are protected. And Mayor, years ago we had some of this problems with some of the developers, and hopefully this will help alleviate that going forward.
That's exactly what we're doing here, Councillor Hiscock. We're ensuring that any new developments are surveyed properly, including the grades, which we, as you said, we had some issues with some years ago. Any more discussion with respect to Councillor Hiscock's resolution? Councillor Hollett, please.
I'm just wondering, is there going to be an RFP to the local surveyors to see which surveying companies we're actually going to go with, or are we going to alternate, or has there been a decision on that?
Go ahead.
Sure. There hasn't really been a decision on it in terms of approach. There's really two qualified survey companies here, so we could go for an RFP for the survey companies to compete to be a signed network for a period of time, or we can go back and forth, which is something a practice that we do now. So really hasn't been sort of exactly how we'd operationalize it, but we'll certainly make sure it's a fair process no matter which way it's undertaken.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Finn. Thank you, Councillor Hollett. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm in agreement with of us going back and forth and share the business throughout the two land surveying companies. And I think what we're doing now, I think that's a fair process, and I think we should just continue doing that going forward.
That's right. And I know council is all in favour of doing the business locally, which we do whenever we can. So, good points there. Any more discussion with respect to Councillor Hiscock's resolution? Okay, there being none, I got a resolution by Councillor Hiscock, seconded by the Deputy Mayor. All in favour? Aye. Any opposed? Resolution is carried. Next on the agenda, we have item number 9.2, the award of tender for the sludge drying bed project. Councillor Hiscock, please.
Thank you, Mayor. The approval for the award of the tender for the sludge drying bed project to the lowest compliant bidder. And I propose that council approve the award of the sludge drying bed project number 99-2024-8388 to Rock Construction Company Limited in the amount of $2,218,505.77, HST included, as recommended by the project engineer.
Thank you, Councillor Hiscock. Can I get a seconder for Councillor Hiscock's resolution, please? Deputy Mayor, thank you. Any discussion with respect to the resolution on the sludge drying bed project? Councillor Hiscock.
Thank you, Mayor. Tenders for the sludge drying bed project closed on March 25th, 2026. A total of 7 bids were received and evaluated by Irvin Engineering Company, who are the engineers in charge of that project at the water treatment plant. All submitted bids were reviewed and deemed compliant with the tender requirements. Rock Construction Company Limited submitted the lowest bid in the amount of $2,218,505.77, HST included. And Mayor, this aligns with the strategic direction, supports infrastructure and investment, and drinking water improvements. So it's all part of the upgrades and the work ongoing at the water treatment plant.
Thank you, Councillor Hiscock. Any more discussion with respect to the Councillor Hiscock's resolution? Okay, there being none, I don't think, I will note that the $2,218,505.77 is federal government money and not municipal money. So, and it'll be good to get that project done, and as Councillor Hiscock noted, it will help enhance the water supply for the town of Grand Falls-Windsor. Councillor Hollett?
Originally, the budget for this was just over $3 million. So now this one is at 2.2. This is federal money. Will we have access to that to be able to utilize that on other capital projects, or is that money that just goes back?
Well, I don't know. I couldn't answer that question definitively. I believe the money would go back because this is signed for the project. But there could be, like that's the bid price there now, and there could be overruns or additions. So there's other things could happen within the scope of the project. So there's a risk of some of it going back, but that's fine because we're under budget. It's no risk to the town. And we'll see how the project goes in terms of that scale of construction project could easily encounter overruns and
10-20% is pretty much going to take up the remainder of that.
sometimes.
Thank you.
Well, then, good point. Councillor Hollett, it'd be nice if we could keep the excess money, but with federal government money, they're pretty tight with that.
Within the scope of work.
Yes, that's right, unfortunately, for this project. But like I said, a great project, an awful lot of money, and it will enhance the water supply for the town of Grand Falls-Windsor. Councillor Hiscock made a resolution, and seconded by the Deputy Mayor. Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Resolution is carried. I'll move on to item number 9.3, and that's the award of the tender for the Circular Road Phase 2 project. Councillor Hiscock, please.
Thank you, Mayor. A decision to approve the award of the tender for the Circular Road Phase 2 Water and Sewer Project to the lowest compliant bidder, and I propose that council approve the award of the Circular Road Phase 2 Water and Sewer Project, project number 17-multi-year capital works-25-00062 to Stellar Storm Industries Incorporated, TB, in the amount of $1,294,356.63, HST included.
Thank you, Councillor Hiscock. Can I get a seconder for Councillor Hiscock's resolution, please? Councillor James, thank you. Any discussion with respect to the resolution, Councillor Hiscock?
Thank you, Mayor. Phase 1 was done in 2024, Mayor, and there's, last year we were hoping to complete Phase 2. Unfortunately, there were no bidders on that project. This project closed on March 30th, 2026, and a total of 7 compliant bids were received. The lowest bid was evaluated and determined to meet the tender requirements. As a result, the town is recommending that Stellar Storm Industries Incorporated is to be awarded the contract in the amount of $1,294,356.63, HST included. The project budget is $1,650,000, HST included, but this includes paving, which was previously awarded to Penny Paving Limited for $303,768.19, HST included. Therefore, the overall project is $51,830.19 under budget. And this project, like I said, Mayor, is going to finish off that job on Circular Road, and the project is funded 70% by the provincial government through the Multi-Year Capital Works Fund. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hiscock. Any more discussion with respect to Councillor Hiscock's resolution? I'll ask for a seconder first. Councillor James, you already did that. Thank you. Any discussion with respect to the resolution? Councillor Hollett.
It says here that it was previously awarded, the paving was previously awarded to Penny Paving. So was that done in 2025 or was that done in 2026? Because I know with the cost of fuel, especially diesel, like the asphalt component of this, it's probably going to see a significant increase in that cost. So I'm wondering, is that a 2025 quoted price? Because most companies don't carry a quoted price for that long, especially over a year. And with the increases, I'm wondering, do we have to go back to them for revised quote, or are we accepting that as is and they're going to?
Well, the tender for the paving was previously awarded before the tender for the construction or
In
the
2026
infrastructure. No, previously awarded.
No, this year.
Okay.
So there's no tender's been, for no paving being done this year. So we expect the paving company that was awarded the paving project for this particular phase 2 of the project will live up to the price
Yeah.
that was given to us on a previous occasion.
I don't know. I can't give a definitive answer on this either, but there would have been bid, obviously, to do the work. And my thinking was that they would be held to the unit price, but there may be some unit price capabilities for them to come look for an adjustment. I don't know. I can get that answer for you.
Okay, I'd appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because I know, like, dealing in contracts myself, like, usually a lot of the bids and quotes that you would submit, sometimes they're for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days.
Yeah.
But I don't know anyone in construction that would hold especially asphalt,
Yeah.
for a year. So I was just
And
wondering if
more
we could
likely
get
that is adjustable.
clarification on
unless
that
it's
one.
them that couldn't complete the work on their own account, but if they couldn't complete the work because we weren't able to start to sub work, then perhaps, the responsibility shifts to the town. That's probably more likely.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And as it stands now, we're $51,830.19 under budget, so. Yes, in all fairness. Any more discussion with respect to the Circular Road Phase 2 project? There being none, we got a mover and a seconder. All in favor? Any opposed? The resolution is carried. Okay, we'll move on to item number 10.1, I'll call on Councillor Cody, please.
Thank you, Mayor, and forgive me this evening. I'm not used to working with paper, so I've got to stack. My scrolling bar is not working, so I can't maneuver back from the hyperlinks back to the,
No, most of the iPads are not working properly.
yeah, so forgive me. It's a lot of paper. So the first item is the water conservation regulations update. Changes were made to the water conservation regulations to ensure the language aligns with the Towns and Local Service Districts Act and to improve clarity and readability. So I recommend that Council approve the changes to the water conservation regulations as presented.
Okay, we got a resolution. Can I get a seconder? Councillor Hiscock, please. Any discussion with respect to the resolution? Councillor Cody?
Thank you, Mayor. A lot of the items on the agenda tonight are policy updates and regulations. And basically, it's just to clarify the regulations, make them more readable, clearer, and more easily presentable. So they'll all be posted on our website once they're updated. If people have any questions, they can view them on the website. But again, no major changes, just updating to align with the new Towns and Local Service District Act.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Cody. Any more discussion with respect to the water conservation regulations update? Okay, there being none, we got a mover and a seconder. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Resolution is carried. We'll move on to item number 10.2, the anti-litter regulations update.
Again, changes were made to the anti-litter regulations to ensure the language aligns with the Towns and Local Service Districts Act and to improve clarity and readability. By the end of the agenda, I might be able to provide clarity and readability to the pages here. So I do recommend that Council approve the changes to the anti-litter regulations as amended. And as I flipped the page, I just noticed that the recommendation on the back of the anti-litter regulations refers to the animal control regulations. So we will get that adjusted. But again, I do recommend that we approve with that minor change.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Cody. Can I get a seconder for Councillor Cody's resolution, please? Councillor James, thank you. Any discussion with respect to the anti-litter regulations update, which also includes the animal control regulations, as Councillor Cody noted?
Just a reference there and the decision, no.
Right, yeah, that's right. Any discussion? All in favor of the resolution? Aye. Any opposed? The resolution is carried. We'll move on to item number 10.3, rescinding sign and advertisement policy. And Councillor Cody, please.
Thank you again, Mayor. So, Council, the decision is that Council approval is required to rescind the sign and advertisement policy, PWD 18, due to duplication with the town's existing sign and advertisement regulations. So I propose that Council rescind sign and advertisement policy PWD 18 as the content is fully incorporated into the sign and advertisement regulations and the policy is no longer required.
Thank you, Councillor Cody. Can I get a seconder for the resolution, please? Councillor Hiscock, thank you. Any discussion with respect to the policy? Councillor Cody, please.
No, I don't have anything further for that one.
Oh, you don't have anything further?
No, we're just canceling that one, so.
Okay. All right, so we had two policies, and basically they were both the same, so we're eliminating one, and we'll stick to the one that makes sense for the people of Grand Falls-Windsor. Any more discussion with respect to the resolution? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The resolution is carried. We'll move on to item number 10.4, the adoption of policy with respect to access road cost sharing for new subdivision development.
Okay, so to consider adoption of policy PWD 18, access road cost sharing for new subdivision development. And see. No, that's okay. I'm just looking for what page I'm on. So I recommend that council adopt policy PWD 18, access road cost sharing, for the new subdivision development to provide a clear, consistent, and financially controlled framework for supporting access infrastructure that enables new residential subdivision growth in Grand Falls-Windsor.
Thank you, Councillor Cody. Can I get a seconder for Councillor Cody's resolution, please? Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any discussion with respect to the resolution, Councillor Cody?
I will just offer some background on this one. So the town continues to advance initiatives to increase housing supply and remove barriers to residential development. A key constraint identified through ongoing discussions with developers is a high upfront cost associated with constructing access roads to undeveloped lands. In many cases, these roads do not directly generate frontage for immediate development, yet are required to unlock larger subdivision areas capable of delivering significant long-term housing supply. To address this, policy PWD 18 establishes a consistent and controlled framework for municipal participation in these costs. The policy clearly defines eligibility requirements, where am I? I don't like paper very much. Eligibility requirements, including a minimum threshold of 20 residential units and the requirement to enter into a subdivision agreement with the town. The town's contribution is strictly limited to the initial access road segment required to enable development, extending only to the boundary of the first developable lot. It does not apply to internal subdivision roads or infrastructure. Eligible works are limited to components above subgrade, including Class B granular, Class A granular, asphalt, and concrete curb, gutter, and sidewalk. All underground infrastructure and subgrade work remains the sole responsibility of the developer. Compensation is strictly based on the theoretical value of the final approved design using standardized unit rates established in the policy and not on actual contractor pricing or submitted costs. This ensures consistency, fairness, and cost control across all developments. The policy also includes a defined unit rate schedule for compensation, eliminating variability between projects and providing clarity to both the town and developers. Implementation of this policy will be executed through subdivision agreements, which will define scope, quantities, eligibility limits, and timelines for each project. This policy applies only to new subdivision applications approved after January 1st, 2024, and is not retroactive. Just a clarification, should that be 2026? Yes. No, it is 2024. So beginning 2024, but not retroactive prior to 2024. Okay. Yes, so again, I recommend that we implement this new policy. I think it's going to provide, it should help initiate some development. There's some holdback, of course, like we mentioned in the policy. That piece of land, parcel of land that gets you to the subdivision from town roads, can be costly. I think this will, alleviate some of the concerns of developers in moving forward and absorbing that cost up front, knowing that, it will be reimbursed, and we will certainly be monitoring and tracking what's happening there. So, and working with developers to make sure we have housing lots and development areas available to interested parties.
Cody. And like I said, this is a big change from what we're used to. Prior to this, if a developer had identified a piece of land here in Grand Falls-Windsor and proceeded to develop the land and put some housing structures in there, then they would be responsible for that initial road to the first lot. But now the town has taken over that cost, and we've met with some developers, understand, and certainly they're excited about the opportunity. It's saving them some money, and it certainly, as Councillor Cody noted, will promote development in the town of Grand Falls-Windsor, and we expect to see that early spring or late spring or early summer. We should have some good development started here in Grand Falls-Windsor and some new housing projects badly needed. Any more discussion with respect to Councillor Cody's resolution? Councillor Hallett, please.
Just to clarify, during our discussions, it was my understanding that the money would be paid after the 20 residential units and 24 months had transpired. But I don't see anything here in regards to the 24 months. It just states implementation of this policy will be executed through subdivision agreements, which will define scope, quantities, eligibility limits, and timelines for each project. But it was my understanding that we had a 24-month time frame on this reimbursement of the money, and they wouldn't receive the money until the 20 units were developed within that 24-month period. So just like some clarification on that.
Developer is not building the initial road, the town is. So there'd be no holdbacks of money. The town's responsible for the cost of the road going from the Tulit to the, for example, to the new development.
In the policy, is not in the decision note, but the decision note refers to the council adopting the policy. Under the eligibility requirements, it says the development must be a new subdivision. This policy is not retroactive to other subdivisions that were signed prior to January 1st, 2024. The subdivision must include a minimum of 20 residential lots that would be constructed and ready for housing construction within 24 months. So we would expect the minimum of 20 residential lots to be constructed within a 24-month period before we would reimburse those cost shared. Is not the town taking on 100% of the cost, but it's really a cost sharing. They still have to put the construction, the labor, their equipment, and there are some subgrade works that are still involved with that initial road section. And they would be reimbursed for those upfront costs when they completed it, and we verify that the work is completed. But I did say to council, for the sake of transparency, in separate email correspondence, that doesn't mean that these developers won't be coming back looking for that payment up earlier. But it depends on council's confidence that that they're going to get that project done, and you can tell. Excuse me. You can probably tell the progress of that once they issue their own contract to get the work completed. You'll know that there's a high probability that work will be completed by the effort put into it. So those are some bridges you can cross later on. Is all I suggest with respect to the timing of the payment. But the policy does say 24 months and 20 lots minimum.
Thank you.
And so, Councillor James, go ahead, sir.
Just from my own clarification as well. So when that road goes in, we're responsible for constructing the road to get into the site?
For cost sharing,
Yeah,
the first section of road to get to the first lot,
Right.
the house to get built, and they would construct it. It's their road, so like we would be reimbursing. some
so
of those
that's like a
costs
cost
after
shared
they-
thing?
Yeah, after they incurred in cost.
And then was there a stipulation there where like the first lot we would service?
No,
Or they're completely on their own?
They're on their own after that point.
So we'll cost share the road going in, and after that, say 20 lots, they're responsible for all the water and sewer servicing and all that goes in?
Correct.
Thank you.
And with these new guidelines, I guess we've had, like I said, we met with developers. There's some proposed developments, and hopefully they'll all go ahead. The Northcliffe Reeds development, off Granville Heights, Corduroy developers, Sprucewood Estates, Child Place, and off Tulit are all developments which we hope will occur in the next couple of months. And certainly, I guess our cost, is that correct, would be $660,000, should all projects proceed?
If all projects proceeded, that would be the cost for the town, projected.
Yes, projected, that's right. And money well spent. Like I said, housing, we're in dire need of housing, and all levels of housing, low income, middle income, and I guess higher income housing will be developed in, hopefully, with respect to these proposed projects we hope will take place soon. Any more discussion with respect to Councillor Cody's resolution? You got a mover and a seconder? All in favour? Aye. Any opposed? Resolution is carried. We'll move on to item number 10.5, and I'll call on Councillor Cody, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Council direction is required to approve updates to policy PWD 16, permit revocation process as presented in the track changes version dated January of 2026. And I recommend council approve the updated policy PWD 16 permit revocation process as presented to ensure the town's permit enforcement framework remains clear, current, and defensible.
Thank you, Councillor O'Cody. Can I get a seconder for Councillor O'Cody's resolution? Deputy Mayor, thank you. Discussion with respect to the resolution, Councillor Cody?
Yes, Mayor. Policy PWD 16 establishes the formal procedure for the revocation of permits issued by the town. Since its original adoption in 2020, operational experience has identified areas where clarification, tightening of language, and improved procedural flow were required to ensure the policy is clear, defensible, and consistently applied. The proposed updates are administrative and procedural in nature. They refine timelines, clarify decision-making authority, streamline notice and committee review steps, and strengthen alignment with current governance practices and privacy requirements. The revisions also improve readability and reduce ambiguity that could otherwise expose the town to procedural risk during enforcement or appeal. No fundamental change to council's authority or the intent of the policy is proposed. The update ensures staff and council have a clear, transparent, and legally sound framework to follow when permit revocation is being considered.
Thank you, Councillor Cody. Any more discussion with respect to Councillor Cody's resolution? Councillor Hollop, please.
I'm pleased that council is actually taking this step in improving the permit revocation process. We have some homes or residents around that we definitely need to revoke their permits, whether it's their occupancy to live there, or we certainly need to improve the quality of the homes that are in the town and make sure and hold everyone accountable and make sure that everyone is following what we have here in place.
Correct, and this resolution will give us a clearer path to revoking permits if they become necessary. Any more discussion with respect to Councillor Cody's resolution? We have a mover and a seconder. All in favour? Aye. Any opposed? Resolution's carried. Item number 10.6 is a information note on our Voyant Alert system. Councillor Cody.
Thank you again, Mayor. So this is to provide Town Council with an overview of the Voyant Alert notification system currently used by the Town of Grand Falls-Windsor, including its purpose, usage trends, cost structure, and operational implementations. Voyant Alert functions as the town's primary public notification platform for both routine service advisories and emergency communications, supporting timely and direct information sharing with residents, businesses, and visitors. And I do recommend that we... so I guess I'll just elaborate a little bit. This is why the Voyant Alert app is so important. We can't be mailing this stuff or expecting people to be able to read all this information. The Voyant Alert app currently, I don't know the number of subscribers we have currently within the town, but I do know it is used quite frequently. Our communications officer, Robin Hannaford, posts it to our Facebook, the Town of Grand Falls-Windsor Facebook page on a regular basis to remind residents, if they haven't already downloaded the app, that they should do so, and the instructions are there on how to do that. You can have notifications come to your email, you can have them come to your cell phone, you can have them come to your home phone individually, or you can have them come to all areas that you wish to be notified on. You can limit it to your street, your neighborhood. You can have alerts for the whole town. You can have it set up so that you get notifications where you could be affected at your place of work or at your home or at your kids' school or at your relatives' homes. It's very useful. It's very informative. It's not overwhelming. You're not bombarded with information. We only use it for notices for emergencies within the town, or garbage collection changes to our regular schedule, road closures, things like that. So, don't be concerned that, again, you're going to be bombarded with notices, because you're not. We only use it for its intended purposes, for information and to notify our residents and to keep them up to date. So, again, I would recommend that all residents do download the Void Alert app. We have renewed our subscription because we do see value in the program, and hope that all of our residents do take advantage of it.
That's right, and then many residents got issues with respect to downloading the app or want to do it over their telephone instead of their cell phone. There's a process for that, and they just call the town hall, and if they need, then we'll explain it to them. Any more discussion with respect to our Void Alert system? Councillor Hollett.
What Councillor Cody was saying. We actually have the numbers here for the activity on that account. So the total recipients increased from 719 to 1,057 users from March in 2025 to February in 2026. So this reflects a net growth of 338 subscribers over the past year. So it is increasing, and hopefully that will continue. The trend will continue.
Need to grow. Thank you, Councillor Hollett. Yep. Deputy Mayor, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to speak on this too from a firefighter side, looking at this. I mean, it's an app that you can get, and if you got a fire on your street, only the people on that street gets this. You haven't got a big pile of traffic going through town that's following the fire trucks and knowing that it's going to be there. So just the people in the area would know when the alarm goes out, or any type of emergency. I think it's a very worthwhile app to have, and I suggest that any residents of Grand Falls-Windsor get in contact with the town and get signed up for this. I wasn't signed up for Forgotten Accounts, but I have since, and it's a fantastic app. It's very good, so I suggest that residents of Grand Falls-Windsor go ahead and sign up for it also.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And the cost to the town annually is approximately $6,900, so money well spent again to keep our residents totally informed of what's going on with respect to emergencies or water main breaks or the like. Thank you, Councillor Cody. Any more discussion on the Void Alert system? There being none, we'll move on to item number 10.7, which is a decision note on the water and sewer systems regulations.
Thank you, Mayor. The changes were made to the water and sewer systems regulations to ensure the language aligns with the Towns and Local Service Districts Act and to improve clarity and readability. So I recommend that Council approve the changes to the water and sewer systems regulations as presented.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Cody. Can I get a seconder for Councillor Cody's resolution, please? Councillor James, thank you. Any discussion with respect to the resolution, Councillor Cody?
Thanks, Mayor. Again, this is just to clarify and streamline the policy so that it does fall in line with the new Towns and Local Service District Act. Primary consideration is ensuring that the bylaw change language is clear, enforceable, and aligned with provincial legislation. Improved wording reduces ambiguity for residents, enforcement staff, and for council.
Thank you, Councillor Cody. Any more discussion with respect to that? To the water and sewer regulations update? Okay, there we got a mover and a seconder. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The resolution's carried. Move into item number 10.8, update the policy PWD-3 land sales. Councillor Cody again, please.
That council approve revisions to policy PW3-land sales to simplify land pricing, eliminate post-sale adjustments, and enhance incentives for subdivision development.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Cody. Can I get a seconder for Councillor Cody's Deputy Mayor? Thank you very much. Any discussion with respect to the resolution? Councillor Cody.
Thank you again, Mayor. So this is just the current land sales policy, PWD3, establishes pricing and procedures for the sale of residential, commercial, and other municipal lands. While the policy provides a structured pricing framework, it includes provisions whereby the town may undertake or reimburse site preparation activities such as excavation, backfilling, and grading. In practice, many parcels of land are not at final grade or contain unsuitable materials, resulting in ongoing involvement by the Department of Public Works and Development to assess, negotiate, and complete or reimburse site-related work. This has created operational pressures, increased costs, and frequent post-sale disputes or negotiations with purchasers. Additionally, the current policy includes a 10% administrative fee on Crown land acquisitions, which can act as a barrier to large-scale subdivision development where overall project costs are significant. So again, these changes are intended to provide clarity, consistency, and efficiency in land transactions while aligning with the town's broader objectives to support development and reduce administrative burden.
Thank you, Councillor Cody. Any more discussion with respect to Councillor Cody's resolution?
Yes, Mayor Brown, I think maybe some people would like to have a clarification on this 10% reduction in the cost for the developers. If we could have a little explanation on that.
To any developers, there was a Crown land fee, correct?
Yeah, so when the town has, in its land sale policy, when we acquire Crown land, generally for the purpose of reselling it to another proponent, when we resell it, we charge a 10% administrative fee on it. So this change by council in an effort to reduce development costs really is what council's doing. The same thing it done with the policy we just talked about on assisting with the initial access road. So on in arrangements with council where companies or individuals enter into a subdivision agreement, so they're developing swaths of land, not individual lots, council will waive that 10% Crown land administrative fee, which is actually not a Crown land fee, it's a town fee on Crown land. Yeah. So that's what, yeah.
Appreciate that.
Okay. So another adjustment and improvement to attract more development here in Grand Falls-Windsor.
To really make the cost of land for a homeowner or builder, to reduce the cost for them to buy the land initially.
Right.
Because the developer theoretically is able to build it cheaper.
Right.
We're just doing our part on multiple fronts here.
Right. And again, this was met with the approval of most developers in Grand Falls-Windsor. They were excited about this change as well. And it should bode well for the future developments here in our town. Any more discussion with respect to Councillor Hollett, please?
I just want to point out that the finished, which would be the good properties or the commercial properties, were at $22.25 per square meter. This new proposal that we're implementing is going to have the unfinished, and it's going to be significantly cheaper at 13.50 cents per square meter. So it's significant cost savings to the developers for this. And I just want to point out that the unfinished is as is where is. So just to make sure that everyone is aware that it's as is where is property.
Right. And but are the water and sewer hooked up to some of these?
Yeah, so they're service lots that are unfinished, and unfinished means not finished to grade. And really this change from the last policy, or the policy that's in place now, but effective after tonight, really council is reducing that commercial land by nearly 40%, 39 point something percent. So you're reducing the cost of that commercial land, which is a reduction from what it was already was a reduction from the actual construction cost. So it's quite substantially reduced, but it does incentivize development, and I think that's what council is signaling.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Finn. Any more discussion with respect to the resolution on the land sales? Okay, there being none, all in favor? Any opposed? Resolution is carried. Move on to item number 10.9, the brush chipper procurement. And Councillor Cody.
So the decision this evening is to award the procurement for one brush chipper through the CNU procurement program. Council approved the purchase of one Bandit Model 12XC brush chipper, 49 HP diesel, in the amount of $76,850.40 plus HST through the CNU procurement program. And I recommend council approve the purchase of the Bandit Model 12XC brush chipper as it provides the best overall value to the town based on cost, performance, and operational efficiency.
Thank you, Councillor Cody. Can I get a seconder for the thank you, Deputy Mayor Bennett. Discussion on the resolution. Councillor Cody, please.
Thanks, Mayor. So 2 bids, 2 units were actually evaluated. The Vermeer BC 1000 XL, which was $80,058 plus HST, and the Bandit 12XC, which came in at $76,850.40 plus HST. Both units were assessed based on cost, performance, operational suitability, safety, durability, and maintenance considerations. And we decided to go with the Bandit. It provides more aggressive material feeding and a higher throughput, particularly for bulky and irregular brush. So formal evaluation matrix was completed with the Bandit unit achieving the higher overall score.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Cody. And we received $25,000 from the MSB towards this brush chipper. Any more discussion with respect to the brush chipper procurement? Deputy Mayor, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to talk about the procurement, canoe procurement program. Again, any business in Grand Falls-Windsor who wants to do business through the town of Grand Falls-Windsor, they should actually sign up for the canoe procurement program. And then we can, when we get the bids in, they get an opportunity to be awarded contracts like this, and knowing that this one here is actually from Grand Falls-Windsor, correct? Is this one from Grand Falls? Or we just awarded one there. For the flyer truck, yeah. The flyer truck, we awarded to a business here in Grand Falls-Windsor. So, that'll give the businesses in Grand Falls where there's an opportunity to put bids in and possibly get awarded the product, right? Yep.
Correct. And if any
Right.
businesses in Grand Falls-Windsor are not part of the canoe program, just as a matter of phone the town and we'll supply the information on how you would become a member and be able to bid on such equipment as we're discussing here right now. Any more discussion with respect to Councillor Coley's resolution? Okay, there being none, all in favour? Aye. Any opposed? The resolution is carried. We'll move on to resolution number 10.10 on the sign and advertising regulations update. Councillor Cody.
Mayor, changes were made to the sign and advertisement regulations to ensure the language aligns with the Towns and Local Service Districts Act and to improve overall clarity and readability. The LED sign regulations were incorporated into the sign and advertisement regulations to keep all related provisions together. My proposal is that council approve the recommended revisions to the Town of Grand Falls-Windsor sign and advertisement regulations to align with the Towns and Local Service Districts Act to improve clarity and readability, and to further approve the removal of the LED sign regulations and its provisions, as its provisions have been incorporated into the updated sign and advertisement regulations. So again, I recommend that council approve the revisions to the sign and advertisement regulations as presented, including the LED sign regulations to keep related provisions together.
Thank you, Councillor Cody. Can I get a seconder for the resolution, please? Councillor Hiscock, thank you. Any discussion with respect to the motion? Councillor Cody.
Thanks, Mayor. Again, this is just to streamline and combine policies where it makes sense for us to do so. I did want to just highlight, we have a lot of LED signs around the community. There are regulations on those signs when it comes to brightness and flashing lights and, how they're presented. They're not meant to be a distraction. They're for information purposes. They're not meant to distract from driving or anything like that. So if you do notice a sign as you're driving by, the brightness kind of takes you back a little bit, or, there's animation on it that kind of is causing a distraction, let us know and we'll have a look at it to make sure that it does fall within the regulations. Sometimes you upload a new ad and you don't really realize that the brightness has been adjusted on the sign, or the colors project differently than they do, on the monitor or the laptop, whatever you're using to create that ad. So keep us posted. We don't see them all the time. We don't monitor them before they're uploaded or presented by the businesses that do operate these signs. So if you do notice something, just let us know and we'll check it out and make sure if it's an issue, we'll get it corrected.
Yeah. Thank you, Councillor Cody. Any more discussion with respect to Councillor Cody's resolution and the sign and advertising regulations, including the LED signage around town?
I have a question in regards to the regulations versus the bylaws. It's my understanding that we're going to be, over the course of the next probably couple of years, are we going to be actually replacing all of our regulations and imposing bylaws as per the Towns and Local Service Districts Act? Am I correct in that? So actually all of these that we're referring to as regulations, they are actually now bylaws?
So we're going to stop using the term regulations.
Okay,
And a lot for municipalities all across the province, they're all bylaws going forward, so there's a little shift.
yes, and we will,
So in
citizens will be expecting more of this to come,
Yeah, so, yeah,
much more. Yeah.
yeah, so the regulations that are in place are described in the Act, they're still in force until they're changed by council to in the new format. So everything remains in force. But as we change them, we rely on the new bylaw then, right? And we retire the old regulation.
Okay, so would, like in our, just for my clarification,
Yeah.
like right here, our decision notice, sign and advertising regulations, would we still refer to it as regulations or would we refer to it now as bylaws? Like right in the title?
Let me have a look.
I think we're all learning as we go
Yeah.
on this one. It's going to be
No,
lots of
it's-
changes.
The, in the draft that's attached, it's called the sign and advertising bylaw.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm talking about in the decision note portion, in the
Oh, yeah,
title,
in the
sign
decision.
and advertising
Yeah.
regulations. I don't know if it's still considered regulations or if we should be referring to it as bylaws.
Yeah.
Just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, so the finished product, in when we done when we actually took the regulation and we done the track changes, we stroked out regulation
Regulations.
and replaced it with bylaw. So that's a change in the title. Even though the decision note is called regulations, it could have been, we could have called it one way or the other, but the main thing here is that the final draft does say bylaw.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, Mayor, it's
Yeah.
technically still a regulation until we adopt it as the bylaw tonight. So we're working on regulation titles, but once adopted tonight, they will become bylaws and the titles are changed.
Thank you.
Okay. And just to touch on what Councillor Coley noted, that some of these LED signs around town are have a negative impact on some people who are bothered by bright lights and flashing lights and that kind of stuff. So these regulations will help those people as well. And if there's a sign in Grand Falls-Windsor that affects you negatively because as a result of its brightness, just call the town and we'll address it, I'm sure. Okay, we got any more discussion with respect to Councillor Cody's resolution on the sign and advertising regulations, including LED advertising? Okay, there being none, all in favour? Any opposed? The resolution is carried. Item number 10.11, tax receivables analysis for February 2026 is just an information note, I think.
The information note is prepared by staff and reviewed by council, which provides a summary of taxation receivables as of February 28, 2026. The total taxation receivables amount to $21,206,997.71, which is an increase of $505,951.78, or 2.44%, compared to the previous year. The February report does not show the full collections picture as taxes are not due until March 31st of 2026. Monthly collections for February 2026 were amounted to $1,833,018, or approximately 8% of the outstanding receivable entering the month. please contact the Town Hall at 489-0402, 0403, or 0404 with any questions about your tax bill. The due date is today, March 31st, and interest will be applied after that date. There are payment plans available for those who would rather pay off their balances throughout the year, and with that plan, no interest is applied for those who sign up for the pre-authorized payments. Management and staff will continue to monitor taxation receivables and use all necessary methods of collection to lower the outstanding balance each month.
Thank you, Councillor Cody. Any more discussion with respect to the taxation receivable analysis? Councillor Cody?
Just to touch on the pre-authorized payment plan, it's a great opportunity for residents to take advantage of. It'll spread your tax bill out throughout the year, and you won't be charged interest, even though our deadline for taxes due is March 31st. With this payment plan, as long as you're continuing to make your regular monthly payments, you will not be charged interest. Our taxation collection will be ramping up again now after March 31st, and with the, the good weather coming on, we'll be able to implement some of our enforcement that we do to encourage people to pay their taxes, like water shutoffs and things like that. So, it's the last resort for us. It's not something that we want to rely on. We give our residents every opportunity to set up payment plans with us, and we'll work with them on hardship cases, whatever you need. We'll, as long as it's a reasonable and consistent payment plan, we will work with you to make sure that you can stay up to date and don't get too far behind, and we don't have to resort to water shutoffs.
Right. Yeah, it's an easy process. Just come down and see the staff in the finance department, corporate services department rather, and we'll work with you to get that burden off your shoulders. And as Councillor Cody says, if you set up a plan, there's be no interest charge. Go ahead, Councillor James.
Just a query here, and there will be no interest applied for those who sign up on pre-authorized payments, which I think is really, really good. But just hypothetically, I decide to do that, but I don't make my decision till the end of April. Do I still pay interest between the end of March and April, or how does that work? Or do I have to pre-authorize by the 31st of March?
You will still be charged interest.
Until I sign the dotted line to
So
pre-authorize.
Sooner the better.
And then once I sign the pre-authorized, the interest would stop.
Correct.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor James. Good point. Okay, any more discussion on the information note with respect to taxation? Councillor Hollett, please.
Just for the benefit of the citizens, so just say, for instance, I don't sign up for a pre-authorized payment until June. How would the pre-authorized be set up then? Would it be based on the remaining 6 months that you have? I know that could be kind of a little high, so how would that work?
We want everybody to be paid up by the end of the year, but we've had separate payments or separate arrangements set up with different people so that we estimate what their taxes will be next year and set up a payment over 18 months so that they're paid off by next year. So again, we're flexible with that, but ideally, yes, everybody will be paid off by the end of the year, but we work with everyone who comes in, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Councillor Hollett. Any more discussion on the taxation receivable analysis? Okay, we'll move on to item number 10.12, the disbursement report for February 2026. Councillor Cody.
Thank you. So this information note is prepared by staff and reviewed by council, which provides a summary of disbursements over $1,000 as of February 28, 2026, in the amount of $579,844.10. Also disclosed on the report are pre-authorized payments of $346,196.12, and invoices under $1,000 in the amount of $38,274.41. The town's disbursement for this period reflect necessary operational costs, capital commitments, and community investments, in addition to payments relating to partnerships with other government agencies. Management will continue to monitor expenses and report disbursements at future meetings.
Thank you, Councillor Cody. Any more discussion with respect to the disbursement report for February 2026?
Okay.
Go ahead, Councillor Hallett.
There's a minor correction that's going to be made that the Director of Corporate Services is going. The amount for invoices under $1,000 is going to change from $38,274.41 to $36,274.41. So it's going to be a reduction of $2,000 because it was identified that there was it was overlap. Instead of being under 1,000, it was equaling 1,000. So there was two entries that were reported on both disbursement reports, the under 1,000 and the other one. So we have that identified, and it's going to be corrected.
Thank you, Councillor Hallett. Anybody else? Any discussion with respect to the disbursement report? Okay, and moving on to item number 10.13, the labour report for week 9.
Council is provided with a summary of labor costs for Public Works, Parks, Fire Hall, and Exploits Regional Water Supply Committee for the first 9 weeks of 2026 up to February 28th of 2026. Labor costs as of February 28th, 26 were $644,474, which was $19,000 or $22 or 3.04% over the budget of $625,452. With the amount of winter events that have happened so far in 2026 being only 3% over budget is a positive outcome. Management will continue to monitor labor costs as operations continue through the winter. Management will continue to monitor labor costs moving forward into 2026 to ensure steps are taken to get back on track for the year in the coming weeks and months.
Thank you, Councillor Coley. Any more discussion with respect to the information note and the labour report?
Again, just to clarify, our directors and our management team do very well to manage the workload, minimize the amount of overtime necessary, use our call-ins. This has been a horrendous winter, in my opinion. I know that's not shared by some, but it is my opinion, and I'm happy that it's going to be ending eventually. I don't know when, but I'm hoping that spring is definitely in the air. I think we have some weather coming this week. I know we had some poor road conditions this morning. It's been a long winter, and it's been a strain on our equipment, on our staff, and just on everybody really. So 3% is over, considering the winter that we've had. Not outrageous, as stated, but again, I'd be happy if we could level out again fairly soon.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Coley. Councillor James.
I'd like to just take a little step further and say, hats off to our Department of Public Works for what they do on this pothole situation. I mean, every time I turn on the news, whether it be BC or St. John's, everybody's talking about potholes. And when I look around, again, twice today, I mean, I saw the crews out, when the weather is good, the crew is out. And we all know, it's not going to last forever. But they're really, really on top of this stuff. And, I drive by and I'll toot the horn. Half the time they don't know who I am, but I appreciate it because some of the bumps that are in this road this time of year are really, really bad. And I just happened to get a vehicle a little while ago, and I don't want to be running in and getting me tires fixed up and the fenders fixed around, but they're doing a really, really good job, I think. And the other thing to close it off is, no matter how good or bad a job they're doing, they'll never get the recognition in a lot of ways that they deserve because we really don't see it. But it is a heck of a service to the town. The boys and the girls, they got their crews, and I know I as a taxpayer, I really appreciate that.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Councillor
Mayor.
James. Any more discussion with respect to the labour report? Councillor Hallett.
Just to reiterate what Councillor Cody and Councillor James had said, 3% over budget with the winter that we had. I think we're doing incredibly well in that regard. And hopefully, like I said, as the weather improves, that will come back down. And to reiterate what Councillor James said, I think the crews are doing an amazing job with snow clearing. I mean, with the situations that we've had. I mean, we've had back-to-back. It seems like it always snows on the weekends. But So the work that the crews are doing with the Public Works Department is incredible. And like you said, the potholes, I mean, they appear magically. I mean, it seems like you drive by once and there's nothing, and then all of a sudden, and especially now this time of year, it's probably going to increase. But I agree, the crews are incredible, and they're always out there. You get a fine day and you can always see them somewhere. And I just want to thank them for that.
Couldn't agree more. Thank you. Any more discussion with respect to the labor report? Councillor Cody.
Yeah, just to elaborate on the potholes. I mean, our crews are traveling the roads consistently, but we don't always see the potholes or know where they are. So please, if you see a pothole, reach out to one of the councillors, just shoot the address of where it is, or reach out to the town, 489-0430, I think it is.
0420.
20 and 30 is the
0420.
after-hours one, right?
30 after hours.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, 2030. It's on our website. You can find it there. And Void Alert app, too, was probably information is there as well. But let us know, and we'll certainly make sure that crews at least, get out to market if they can't patch it right away or fill it right away.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any more discussion with respect to the labor report? Okay, there being none, we'll move on to item number 10.15, and that's a decision note with respect to multi-year capital works funding. Pardon? 10.14, the water system control and pump upgrade. Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
So the approval is to award the contract for the Canada Community Building Fund, Project 99-2025-8652, for the replacement of the 2 pumps that supply water to the Andrews Crescent water stand pipe, along with upgrades to the water system controls. Excuse me. That council approves the award of the contract Project 99-2025-8652 in the amount of $575,933.44, HST rebate included, to Rodco Mechanical 2014 Limited. So it is recommended the town approve the award of this contract to Rodco Mechanical in the amount of $575,933.44, HST rebate included.
Thank you, Councillor Coley. Can I get a second for the resolution, please? Councillor James, thank you. Any discussion with respect to the resolution? Councillor Cody.
So the town has secured a 5-year allocation of $3,348,611, HST rebate included, through the Canada Community Building Fund, or the CCBF, with funding available until March of 2029. The town received 2 bids on this project, the lowest bid being from Rodco Mechanical Limited, and that is $12,239.56 below the funding allocated for this project. This critical infrastructure project addresses the aging pump system at the Grenfell Heights Pumps facility. The existing pumps installed in 2000 have reached the end of their service life and are now experiencing operational failures. In addition to mechanical upgrades, the project includes a modernization of the control system, enabling integration with the water treatment plant's VTS-CADA system, and I'm sure you say that a certain way and not just the letters. The upgrade will allow for remote operation of pumps, real-time monitoring of flows, pressures, chlorine residuals, and water levels, data trending and visualization for improved operational insight and long-term planning, flow regulation through a new variable frequency drive, resulting in more consistent flows, thereby improving the water treatment process. Awarding this project to Rodco Mechanical Limited ensures these enhancements that are essential for maintaining reliable water service and ensuring the town's infrastructure meets current and future demands and will be realized.
Thank you, Councillor Cody. Any more discussion with respect to the... Yeah, Councillor.
Does this cost the town any money, this particular project?
No, the money came from the Canada Community Building Fund. And there's future funds available up till March 2029, so it's all federal government money, correct?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Thank you. Any more discussion with respect to the water system control and pump upgrade? Councillor Hollett.
Any improvements to the water system is certainly welcome. So it's good that this is free to us with federal funding and is of no cost to the taxpayers here locally within our town. So I think this is all good news.
News, and we've spent, since we were elected in October, a significant amount of money on water systems in Grand Falls-Windsor and trying to improve that as well. So we'll continue to do that, and as you said, any improvement is certainly welcomed by the people of Grand Falls-Windsor, I can guarantee you. Any more discussion with respect to the water system control and pump upgrade? Okay, we got a resolution and a seconder. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The resolution is carried. Item number 10.15, Councillor Cody.
Thank you. Council approval is required to accept the amended 2023 to 26 multi-year capital works agreement received March 12, 2026. The proposal is that Council approves entering into the amended 2023-26 multi-year capital works agreement received March 12, 2026 from the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure. And sorry, Rogers and Robin, hit the microphone. Our recommendation again is to is that Council approve the amended 2023-26 Municipal Capital Works Agreement as revised and issued by the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure on March 12, 2026, and authorize that the Mayor is able to execute the agreement on behalf of the town so that the remaining projects can be processed without delay.
Thank you, Councillor Cody. Can I get a seconder for the resolution, please? Deputy Mayor, thank you. Any discussion on the resolution, Councillor Cody?
So the town requested an amendment to the 2023-26 multi-year capital works agreement during the March 11, 26 special council meeting to ensure alignment between approved funding allocations. Following this request, the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure reviewed and approved the amendment and issued a revised agreement on March 12, 2026. To proceed, Council must formally approve the amended agreement before it can be signed by the Mayor and returned to the Department for final ministerial authorization. Ministerial approval is required to validate the revised funding structure and allow the remaining projects to move forward. Timely approval is essential to maintain compliance with program deadlines and to protect the town's access to multi-year capital works funding for the 2026 construction season. Some other key considerations and implications. Budget financial implications included costs approved by Resolution CM 26-R-03-025. Partners or stakeholders included the Government of Newfoundland and Labrador. The alignment with strategic directions maximizes use of government funding towards infrastructure upgrades. Some procurement implications, tendering for construction per the Public Procurement Act requirements, and other implications is the risk of losing multi-year capital works funding if not reallocated by the deadline.
Thank you, Councillor Cody. Any more discussion with respect to the proposed resolution? Go ahead.
No, go ahead, I'll close. You might answer my question.
I just wanted to say thanks to the government and the minister for the quick turnaround on this. We received a letter, we acted on the letter, and then they acted on our request to make the modifications, which was a quick turnaround, which was important for us for our 2026 planning and tendering process. So thanks to the minister, Minister Chris Tibbs, and Minister Barry Penton, I believe it is, for Transportation and Infrastructure, for the quick action on this so that we can move this forward. So once we approve tonight, we'll be able to move forward with our 2026 plan to make sure that we do not lose any of those funds that were allocated to us.
Yeah, good point. Thank you, Councillor Cody. Councillor Hollett.
Just a question in regards to the schedule. Like there's 2023 paving program, the 2024 and the 2025. They're all for $1 million and it's all 50% cost shared between the town and the provincial government. So I'm just wondering, do we still have this money or how is that? It's on the schedule, like the $1 million for each one. So are we going to be doing those paving programs this year, or have they already been finished, or, so I'm just curious as to,
All the money, I'm trying to open it up here while I'm thinking about an answer. So all the money has to be spent by, I think October, end of October of this year. So I can't give you the exact amount of paving that was completed and money allocated. But there could be paving that was contracted last year that carried over this year, which is normal. That normally happens. And then we're gonna do a new tender. We've discussed this with council. We're doing a review of streets. So when we finish that review of what work is planned this year, that'll be added to that 2005 contract number. And then so we'll spend the entire program this year with no work carrying over is the plan.
so,
No work carrying over to 2027. So then in 2027 we'll be looking to spend new money from a new contract.
be a new multi-year capital works program then?
We hope. We don't have that yet, but yeah.
We're hoping.
It's
So the
necessary.
2023 and the 2024 paving programs that are listed here are actually completed, and there's no money left in those line items, I guess you could refer to.
I don't know. I think so.
Okay.
It'd be my conventional thinking, but because it's usually just carried over from one year, so like usually the carryover is only from the year before, right? And there may not have been. They may have all been completed in 2025. I just don't know it, and Nelson's not here tonight for me to
Yes.
rely on. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hollett. Any more discussion with respect to the multi-year capital works agreement with the provincial government? Okay, there being none, all in favour of the resolution? Aye. Any opposed? The resolution is carried. We'll move on to item number 10.16, 2024 audited financial statements. Councillor Cody.
Thank you. And before I comment on this, I want to recognize Darren's been in the hot seat, or sorry, CAO, has been in the hot seat tonight because our Director of Engineering and Public Works, Nelson, is on vacation. So normally Nelson would be answering a lot of these questions, and we'd be deflecting to Nelson for that. So thank you, Darren, for stepping in and answering the questions this evening. So the 2024 Auditor's Report and Financial Statements, it is required under Section 92(1) of the Towns and Local Service Districts Act to adopt the audited financial statements. And the proposal this evening is that Council accepts the December 31st, 2024 audited financial statements for approval and submission to the Province of Newfoundland and Labrador. Total revenues of $27.9 million, our expenses of $28.8 million for an overall deficit of $0.8 million. Total assets as of December 2023 of $6.9 million. The auditor did not find any significant unusual transactions, have any disagreements during the audit process, or have any difficulties during the audit process. There were no significant matters that arose during the audit process and no significant deficiencies in internal control. So I recommend that Council approve the audited financial statements.
Okay, we got a resolution. Can I get a seconder for the resolution? Councillor Hiscock, thank you. Any discussion with respect to the 2024 audited financial statements? Go ahead, Councillor Cody.
Just want to say, based on the report from the auditor, it just shows the work that our Department of Finance, under the leadership of our Director, Steve Goss, do in that department in keeping everything under control, streamlined, clear, concise, and available to the auditor once they take all that information and do their audited report. So thank you to Director and your department for keeping this so streamlined and efficient, and for such positive results coming back.
Great job, Mr. Goss. Any more discussion with respect to the 2024 audited statements? Okay, Councillor Hollett.
Just to clarify, The total revenues was 27.9 million, and expenses were 28.8 million, for an overall deficit of 0.8 million. Just wondering how, so that just transfers, how does that work? It just transfers over, or?
Yeah, well, when you're looking at audited financial statements, there's a lot of different accruals, and if you think of, a lot of the revenue that's considered there aren't revenue that we actually budget for, they're just accounting adjustments. So like our revenue in our budget is a lot less than that because our capital grants count as revenue on our audited financial statements, and they don't in our budget because that's not part of our operating budget. So there is a difference between, a cash basis financial statements and the audited financial statements, which include a lot of accounting adjustments. So back when we were doing our budget in 2020, in the fall for 2026 budget, you guys would have seen the 2024, final numbers on a cash basis, which was a surplus of about $300-ish thousand. So the difference between those is essentially just your accounting accruals and adjustments and your amortization on capital assets, things that aren't really reflected in a cash basis budget. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you to you both. Any more discussion with respect to the 2024 audited financial statements? There being none, we got a resolution and a seconder. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, Councillor, for your clarification. Councillor Hollett, thank you. Okay, that'll bring us up to new business, and tonight we start with the Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I'd like to speak about a fine gentleman from Grand Falls-Windsor. Probably the family is probably an icon when it comes to sports. Dave Grimes. There were some of us on council went to his celebration of life, and I thought it was pretty amazing. It was pretty amazing. Everybody spoke so highly of him, and they should. Myself and Dave, we had a couple of connections through sports. I spent a lot of time at the stadium in my past job, and we also battling pancreatic cancer. Dave has succumbed to his, and I'm still battling mine, but I got a bit of a light at the end of the tunnel with mine, but it kind of broke my heart today, or the other day when I was at his celebration of life, and knowing that he fought a good fight, and everybody else is still fighting. So it was an amazing celebration of life. Dave was a member of the National Softball Hall of Fame. He was pretty much one of the first guys here in Grand Falls-Windsor to start softball, and it was pretty neat to have chats with him at the stadium, and condolences goes out to his family, Nellie, Barbie, and Perry, and all their families. I mean, it is a big family, and we noticed that at the celebration of life the other day. The full center aisle was just taken up with family. It was pretty neat to see everybody there, and even making fun. The minister made fun at our former premier, Roger. He said Dave is getting a complex named after him. He said, the premier said, what do you got named after you? There's absolutely nothing. So, and that's another thing that council got together a few weeks ago, and we decided that we're going to name the Main Street softball complex after Dave. We did mention to the family, and the family did mention to Dave, and he knew before he had passed that this was going to happen. And it's very important to all of us here that this is going to go ahead. I'm looking forward now in the spring when the weather comes a little bit better. We're going to get out and make that the Dave Grimes Memorial Softball Complex. Looking forward to that. Like everybody got their little words and little sayings and this and that, but one famous words comes out of Dave is, that was a power play goal. And you heard that so many times at the stadium. So to his family again, condolences from all of us here on council and every employee with Town of Grand Falls-Windsor. Great guy, and he's surely going to be missed.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Oh, sorry, I gotta keep going.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not finished.
Okay.
About 3 months ago, myself and the mayor had a little chat about, where he's a big Boston fan, I'm a little bit of a Montreal fan. We mentioned to each other that we'd probably put up a bet. And at that time, I think Montreal was like up 6 points on Boston. I was surprised that he took it. So the bet is going to be $100, whoever ends up with the most points at the end of the season. So that's only like 8 games left, you know. So, and whoever wins, they'll take their $100 and they can donate it to whatever charity they wish to do. So myself and the mayor agreed upon that a few months ago. And just to let everybody know, Montreal's still 2 points ahead with a game in hand. So, I mean, you know, it's... but they are playing Tampa Bay tonight, so I don't know. It could be tight after this.
They were well ahead when you made the bet.
Yeah, exactly. The next thing I want to talk about is the weekend before last, figure skating. I was told, and you know, I've done a lot of sports photos over the years, but I've never done a figure skating competition. I didn't know what to expect. We had a little bit of a controversy about the stadiums, and which, you know, we made a decision. So figure skating went to the Windsor Stadium, and I got there. So you know what? I'm going to take a run over and have a look around and see what this is all about. So 11 o'clock in the morning, I walked out, and I was talking to the mayor of St. John's, Danny Breen, for quite a while, and I couldn't believe the amount of people that was actually in the stadium. There had to be at least 500 in the stadium, and it was blocked. And I was like shocked. And I said, you know what? This could be just a one-off, this time of the day type of thing. So I went back about 2 o'clock. Myself and Councillor James was having a chit-chat, and some members of the executive came down, and there was more people there then. It was just completely full. I said, it was amazing. The canteen ran out of supplies. They had to go get more. I can't say enough about the executive and the volunteers with the figure skating. They were amazing. They put this show off like you wouldn't believe. And every kid, and I even mentioned to the executive, I said, you know what? It's not about the adults. It's about the kids going on the ice and having 400 or 500 people looking at them skate, right? I mean, that's the big thing here. So if you're going to put 500 people into a stadium and you're going to have kids on the ice, and when he comes off the ice and that kid got a smile on their face, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. Unless you got an exceptional kid that's going to go on and win a gold medal in the Olympics or something like that. I mean, it's all about the kids. So, and as for the executive, it was, they did an absolutely amazing job out there. It was just ran so well. Everything's just done. It was probably one of the best run shows I've ever seen. I've seen a lot of minor hockey tournaments, a lot of baseball tournaments, soccer. That was a bang up job. So kudos to them. The last thing I have on my list is, now I shouldn't mention an employee's name, should I? It's something good. Okay, so I get a message from a resident that lives in Florida in the winter. So he sent me a message. He says, the guy Mike Hunter, who works for the town at the front office down there, he's what a great guy. Returns phone calls, pleasant and polite. Breath of fresh air. Trying to pay my property taxes today. I just want to let the deputy mayor know how I felt. And when somebody comes back to you that's living in Florida, giving you a good note about an employee at Town of Grand Falls-Windsor, that means a lot. So, I mean, the next time I'm downstairs, I'm going to show Mike the message and pass on the message to him. So if anybody else wants to pass it on, they certainly can too. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Cody.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a couple of things tonight. The Grease musical presented by Exploits Valley High is happening on May 8th, 9th, and 10th at the Gordon Pinson Center for the Arts. Tickets are selling so well that I believe there's only space left in the balcony for all 3 shows. There might be a scattered seat on the main floor available, but no surprise, I've seen these productions, and I've said it before, they're Broadway worthy. You almost think that you were watching a Broadway show. The talent of those involved, from the actors, the performers, everybody who works backstage, the stage hands, the directors, everybody, just amazing. So please, if I encourage you, the balcony is still a great seat. And I would encourage you to come out and see the musical on either May 8th, 9th, or 10th. The 10th is a Sunday, and that's an afternoon show. The 8th and 9th, Friday, Saturday, are evening time shows. And I want to say congratulations to all of the organizers, volunteers, and congratulations to all of the performers at the Central Music Festival last week. I know the amount of work that went into the organization of that festival, and then to lose a full day because of weather, and have to rearrange that schedule on such short notice, secure and maintain venues, and notify all the participants of those changes, and to make sure that the public was also aware. You've had performers across multiple genres who they had to check schedules to make sure there was no overlap, that they got to perform in all of the pieces that they had originally been scheduled for, and it was no small feat. And I know Robin Hannaford, one of our employees, was heavily involved in the festival. And so many other volunteers. The adjudicators, top notch again this year. The feedback that they gave to the kids, whether it be a piano recital or a poem, a sight reading, singing, whatever it was that they were involved in, the adjudicators were just top notch. Their feedback was honest. It was incentivizing, it was encouraging, and I really appreciated the performances that I did get to see, and all the ones that I heard about, and of course the stars of the festival on Friday, nothing but rave reviews from everybody. So again, congratulations. I'm so glad to see that tradition and that festival is continuing, because it used to be the Kiwanis, and when the Kiwanis group was no longer here in Grand Falls-Windsor, the committee and members and some new volunteers and members came together to make sure that this important festival continued. So hats off to everyone involved. The Facebook page is still up. You can see video clips and pictures and whatnot. They're in the process now of updating a lot of the information and posting information and pictures and award winners. So make sure you drop a congratulations to all the participants on their awards, those for just participating, because some of the classes were huge. So there's only so many awards that you can give out, and I don't envy any of the judges or adjudicators for having to make any of the decisions, because the talent was just top-notch. So congratulations to everybody who was involved.
Thank you, Councillor Cody. Councillor James.
Thank you, Mayor Brown. I just got a couple of quick things and a couple of fairly quick things. First one, I want to go to the late, great Dave Grimes, who I also knew quite well. And I remember, a lot of people may not remember that Dave Grimes played a lot of baseball when he was a kid. And I remember when I was a bat boy at Church Road Park, I distinctly remember Dave Grimes when he was a catcher for the CLB. And that wasn't yesterday. I think one of his teammates was Dick Duder. The second thing is, with the figure skating, I had a really nice email from a lady involved in the committee who thanked Mark, Andrew, Sean, Chris, and Kim for a wonderful job that they did, how they went through the whole works for a couple of days. And I did have the good fortune, like the deputy mayor, to get out and watch it, and it was a great mayhem. Fairly quickly, perfectly centered community Easter egg hunt, Saturday, April 4th, 2026. Join us for the biggest one yet. Get ready, Grand Falls-Windsor. The perfectly centered community Easter egg hunt is back and bigger than ever. Join us on April 4th for a free, family-friendly adventure across our community. Did somebody ask how it works? I'll tell you how it works. Clues drop at 10 a.m. on the Town of Grand Falls-Windsor Facebook page. Decode each clue to find our bunny stops, featuring amazing local businesses and groups. Each stop has a bunny cutout with a special word or words. Collect all the words to reveal the secret sentence. Bring your completed sentence to the soccer hut at Centennial Field between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. to grab a loot bag and enter for prize baskets. You want more info, go to our town website and our Facebook page. This year's hunt, again, is our biggest yet, and our community partners have gone all out to make it extra special. Don't miss this fun-filled day of exploring, solving clues, and celebrating together. Accessibility note. If you or your child has mobility challenges, or if mascots may be overwhelming, please reach out to Angela. May I say Angela's name? Yes. At programs@townofgfw.com so we can help make the experience comfortable for everyone. I think this is really, really cool. Hop into the fun with us. It's going to be an exciting day in Grand Falls-Windsor. Moving right along. Seniors Easter celebration. Thursday, April 9th, 2026. Hop into the Easter spirit with an afternoon of fun, friends, and festivities. Join us on Thursday, April 9th, 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. at the Grand Falls-Windsor Community Kitchen, located at St. Albans Anglican Church Hall on Masters Avenue. I will be there, not as dressed as the Easter Bunny. What's happening? Light refreshments, fun and games, prizes are to be won, and there will be Easter crafting and activities. The mayor will enjoy that. This community event is free, but registration is required to ensure we have enough supplies for everyone. To register, please call the Community Service Department at 709-489-0450. Also, the information located on the town's website and Facebook page. Bring your friends and let's celebrate Easter together. We'd love to see you there. And go Cats go. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor James, for that information and with a twist of entertainment. We love it. Councillor Hiscock, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Just what Councillor Cody said about the music festival. Wednesday night, we had a family and friends at the Gordon Pinson Centre, and the Cancer Survivors Choir sang, and I was part of that. It was good. And our very own Robin and her mom, and I've always heard Robin sing in the choir. It's the first time I heard her sing by herself, and she can sing. Trust me, she's a bit shy on it, but that lady can sing. And it was emceed by Dave Anthony, our very own. It was a great job, a great evening, fun had by all. Also, the Special Olympics. Once again, to be hosting the All-Newfoundland Bowling Tournament here on April the 11th. Come out and support our Special Olympians. They're a fabulous, fabulous group of men and women. And our very own Liam Gibbons. Now, if you want to see a bowler, watch that gentleman. That man can bowl, right? So once again, April the 11th, All-Newfoundland Bowling is going to be a great time. And also, a free breakfast at St. Albans, Saturday, April the 4th. This Saturday starts at 10 a.m. and is sponsored by Valley Radio and GLA Audio. So I was there last year. We were there last year at it. It was a big turnout. It was good. So it was a great time. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Hiscock. And Councillor Hullett.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple items. When you get to the end, most things are pretty much covered, but I just wanted to reiterate the sparkling blades. They were tremendous. What they pulled off. We met with them, and the professionalism of the executive board was amazing, and it was incredible that they actually, there was kind of, like Deputy Mayor said, there was kind of some conflicts there with some scheduling and stuff, but it ended up that it was quite a very positive and well-received event. The free breakfast, of course, that's probably a nice thing for Saturday morning. Anyone on Easter Saturday, after the Good Friday fish, you can go out and have a nice free breakfast at the Anglican Church Hall on Masters Avenue. And On a, I guess, a little sadder note for me, it's been a very sad time for the Slaney, Cram, and Hollitt families with the recent and unexpected passing of James Slaney. James was only 6 years old and suffered from a rare disease, AHDS. Just last month, James and his family were in council chambers for a proclamation to acknowledge Rare Disease Day. James holds a special place not only in my heart and his family, but he will be loved and remembered by so many who had the opportunity to meet him and see his incredible smile. Fly with the angels, James. And thank you.
Councillor Hollett, and we know it was a difficult time for you and your family, losing a 6-year-old James. And certainly one thing we learned here in the chambers today, he was here to acknowledge Rare Disease Day, was he taught us to smile. And we saw a lot of love here between James and his family and yourself. And certainly our sincere condolences to James and his family. A terrible, terrible time for them. And like I said, just 6 years old, unfortunately. And like I said, we'll all remember him from his visit to the chambers, and we'll always remember the smile and the love. So thank you, Councillor Hollett, for that. And just to conclude here, Easter is up on us. I'd like to take the opportunity on behalf of council to wish everybody in Grand Falls-Windsor a happy Easter. Take it upon yourself to take part in some of the events that Councillor James had acknowledged are going on during Easter. And certainly the kids are out of school during Easter too, so a little special precautions on our roadways and slow it down a bit. The kids will be in full force during their holidays with a bit of good weather, so we need to slow it down a bit. And I know our MEOs will be in full force as well in ensuring everybody is going at the proper speed. Councillor James?
I also want to say that we got a bunch of minor hockey tournaments coming here starting this weekend from the ages of 9 years old up to 15 or 16. There's one or two here this weekend. There's Easter week. There's two here at the Joe Byrne Memorial, and there's a tournament going on out in Windsor Stadium. And you know, these two stadiums have been flat out all year long. They're getting ready to start closing down after this next coming week. So if you want to see some really good hockey, and you want to see some good camaraderie and sportsmanship, that's the place to go. And to reiterate the mayor, careful with the traffic and the speed. Take your time, slow it down. Let's make this a really, really good Easter like people in Grand Falls-Windsor know that we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor James. Okay, anybody got anything else? Can I have a motion to adjourn, please? Councillor Hiscock, second it. All in favor, Councillor James, second that. Any opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Good night, everybody, and happy Easter.